AITA for telling my sister she is not allowed to compare my daughter's death to her cat. So I, F38, lost my daughter, 15, just 2 weeks ago. She got leukemia 4 years ago and it just ended up spreading throughout her body. She fought very hard for a long time. Cancer is such a bitch. I watched my poor baby suffer so much because of it. Anyway, since the loss of my daughter, a lot of people have been trying to comfort me and I understand they are just trying their best, but it doesn't always help. My sister, who doesn't have kids, a personal choice of hers, F36, specifically has been the worst at trying to help me. A year ago she had to put down her 16-year-old cat whom I lost a pet before, so I know how difficult that can be, but it's different than losing my actual human daughter. She has said things like, "I know how you feel about daughter's name, because of the loss of cat name, she was my child. I understand animals are like family, but my daughter and her cat aren't the same." I was trying to just ignore her and let her comfort me with how she felt. But today she came over and started talking about how she knows exactly how I feel because of her cat. I finally got upset and said, "No you don't. Yes, pets can be part of the family and mean a lot to you. I understand losing your cat was hard. But my daughter was my daughter. So until you experience this type of grief and have to see your daughter die slowly from a horrible disease, you aren't allowed to act like losing a cat is the same thing." My sister got mad and called me a heartless I talked to a few people and they agreed that I acted like an So am I the a-hole for calling the cops on a toddler? My husband and I live in a detached home in a densely populated city. Although the homes are detached, they are very close together, walk-up style homes. Our bedroom is in the back of the house and has a balcony overlooking our small yard. Because of the proximity of the houses, our balcony is right next to our neighbor's similar balcony and is also overlooking their small yard. We've lived here for about 3 years and have never had noise issues with neighbors, because everyone is sensitive to the proximity of the houses. This includes a bunch of college-age guys who used to live in the house prior to the current renters, who would often have bonfires and listen to music but were always respectful of sleeping hours. A young family with a kid who's about 2 years old moved in a few months ago. We met the parents and they seemed really nice. As soon as they moved in though, they started taking their screaming toddler outside to play every morning as soon as he wakes. Since then, we have been woken up every single morning, including weekends, between 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. to a screaming toddler right outside our bedroom door. We haven't said anything and have tried getting a loud noisemaker and insulating the exterior door with soundproof insulation, but the kids' shrieks are still impossible to sleep though. I am pregnant and am having a hard time sleeping and am generally exhausted all the time, so this is driving me crazy. This morning, we were woken up at about 6:30. I decided to poke my head out the door and politely asked my neighbor, the kid's mom, if she wouldn't mind waiting until a little later to start playtime outside. I explained that I was pregnant, the location of our bedroom, and that we had tried other noise reduction options with no success. The mom flipped out on me. She told me I was insane for complaining about a toddler, that I was going to be a bad mom for not giving grace to people with kids, that I needed to get used to it, and was generally yelling at me in front of her kid. She also said she was going to start bringing the kid outside even earlier now. Her husband came out and also started yelling at me, to the point where I couldn't hear them because they were yelling at the same time. I told them it was nothing against their kid, but that I needed to be able to sleep. When I realized they were incapable of having a civil conversation, I told them I was going to have to put in a noise complaint. They told me I was DA for calling the police on a 2-year-old. I called my mom and she agrees it's rude to call the police on young parents, but I feel like I'm going insane without sleep. I also worry that when my baby is born in a few months, my newborn will be woken up by their screaming toddler. The police came and the neighbors didn't answer their door, so the cops told me there was nothing they could do but to call back if it keeps happening. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I hate her new job? My wife, 37F, and I, 38M, have been married for 12 years and have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 6. During the pandemic, my wife's job allowed her to switch to 100% WFH. They never required her to go back to the office because her productivity actually increased, so there was no need. It made things easier for us too. I dropped the kids off at school/daycare in the morning and she picked them up in the afternoon. She was able to keep up with a few things around the house during the day, we saved on gas and car maintenance, etc. A few months ago, she was contacted by a recruiter about a job. It would be a nice step up in her career path as well as a boost in pay. But there were drawbacks. The company had no WFH policy and would require her to work in the office. This was apparently non-negotiable. It would also be a 45-minute commute for her. We talked it over a lot and I expressed my concerns about how this would impact our daily lives. I told her that I don't necessarily think that the bump in pay is worth the major changes to our daily lives. Not to mention the stress that a long commute can have on people and that could impact their mood and how they interact at home. She assured me that everything would be fine and that we would adjust as a family and soon the new routine would just become our new normal. I told her that I would never tell her not to take the job, but I just don't know if it is worth the changes that it is going to bring. Ultimately, the decision was hers and she accepted the new job. She's been there for about 10 weeks now. To say it has been an adjustment is an understatement. She wakes up and leaves before the kids even get up. She'll help get a few things ready for them before she goes, but the entire morning kid routine is on me. I also do both drop-off and pick-up for all the kids too. Evenings have been a huge mess because I get home and try to get the kids distracted while I start dinner. When my wife gets home, she is usually stressed from the drive. Her commute has turned into over an hour due to construction and traffic, and takes 15 minutes for herself to calm down before eating alone. Then, after dinner she's going to bed earlier because she has to wake up earlier. I told her that I feel her new job has put an unfair amount of household and childcare duties on me and that she is being far less present in our lives when she's home. She told me that we just need to give it more time to adjust and things will get easier. I told her that 10 weeks is a pretty good adjustment period and I hate it so far. She told me I'm being an unsupportive jerk and I need to give it more time. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents and brother that if they wanted his ex removed from my wedding pictures they had to pay for it? My brother goes through women like I go through socks. I gave him A+1 for my wedding 2 years ago. He brought his girlfriend at that time. When we were doing the family pictures he wanted his girlfriend in the pictures. I said we could do some with her and some without. He got mad that I allowed my sister to have her fiancé in all the pictures and my other brother was allowed to have his boyfriend of 5 years but that I had the audacity to exclude his girlfriend of the week. My parents said that they didn't want any fighting and to just include her. They were paying for everything so I said fine. She isn't in all our pictures. Just the ones with our family and both families. Now my brother is engaged and we had the family over last weekend. His fiancée saw our wedding picture on the wall and got into a fight with my brother. He never told her that he had been in a serious relationship with her nemesis. He tried explaining that they only dated a very short while. She called bullshit because she was included in the family picture. She asked to see our wedding album. Sure enough the girl was in multiple pictures with the family and the in-laws. My brother finally carved her down but has asked me to take down the picture or have his ex removed. I said that it was expensive so he would have to pay for it. He tried complaining to our parents. They said that I was being childish. I reminded them that they were the ones who insisted I give in to him. I said that they were welcome to pay for the editing. They said I was a jerk and that they already paid for the pictures once. AITA for not giving up my seat and embarrassing the woman who demanded my seat? A few years ago I, 16F, lost my left leg in an accident. I've been using a prosthetic leg since then, and because my family is it is a pretty advanced one to the point where it just looks like I just have two normal legs whenever I wear long trousers. Which I usually do because I'm really self-conscious about showing my prosthetic. These days I can pretty much do anything I like without issues, walking, running, going upstairs, etc. The main issue is keeping my balance when there are sudden changes in movement, in places like trains and buses. Which is where the topic of this post comes in. I was riding the train and sat down in the seat reserved for disabled, elderly and pregnant women. It was pretty busy so there were no other seats available, and a few stops later a woman came up to me telling me I needed to move, because she needs that seat and I shouldn't be sitting there. I told her I was sorry, but I needed the seat myself. She got all argumentative that I just need to get up, because the seat is meant for the elderly and I'm just a lazy child who is more than capable of standing. I again apologized and said I really needed the seat myself. She left and got the train conductor, who also told me to get up from the seat. I was really done with being treated this way now, so I rolled up my trouser leg, showed my prosthetic and told her I wasn't going to move. She suddenly got very red-faced and mumbled something before she got off at the next station. I could have said I have a prosthetic right away, but it's a really touchy subject for me and it makes me feel very self-conscious. That's why I always wear long trousers so nobody can see or has to know.